Hey y'all, it is September the 20th, 2020, 2025. And y'all, I had mentioned in a previous video, I believe, that out of all the platforms that could be used, and Lord knows there's plenty of them, here upon the internet, that TikTok, especially recently, has become my preferred platform. Obviously, not YouTube or any other one, actually, but for the moment being, I'm here on X, and I thoroughly enjoy it for its efficacy, sufficiency in garnering all sort of news and current events, and being able to share my insights and my feelings about it. It I've mentioned, a method that I've concocted in my head. I'm sure everyone else has figured out already, anyways, in which I follow plenty of people. They're on my feed, they're on my following tab, but I don't hardly see any of their. I don't, for all the people who I follow, I don't hardly see any of your posts, obviously. I mean, it seems to me that the average person heavy on X.com, the X app, is posting like 20 to 50 posts every day. And so if you have, for example, like 100 people that you're following on X, times that by 20 to 50 on average, you very quickly realize you'll never be able to see all of them. And to even try is retarded. So your best bet is to find just a handful, something like that, and get all the notifications. That way, unless you want to go to your following feed tab, you don't have to bother. They'll tell you about that handful of people and every time that they post. And so we're actually looking at a post from one of the people who I put on notifications for, and I put a bookmark. So although I might not see, even for the small handful of people, I might not see all your posts, because if you're doing 20 plus posts every single day, there's no way I could keep up. And I'm pretty sure everybody realizes that, who's under a certain age. They already are fully aware there is no way that you could keep up. And so on some of the people who I'm getting notified for all their posts, there's only certain posts that I can see of their posts, and the significant ones that I like very much, I'll bookmark, and it'll be in my bookmarks tab. I'll give you an example. I put a bookmark on this video. If you want to watch it with me, here, this is kind of the end. Check this out. I watched. These are some like MMA fight or boxing fighters or something. I don't know. Some sort of fighters, and they were in a joint interview or something. One of them smashes the other guy with an egg in the face. And instantly, of course, it's on and it's lit. And I must have watched this video over and over repeatedly 20, 30, 50 times. It's just very funny to me. And I remarked at the people, you see those guys crowded around that guy? It's their job. They're obviously there for a reason. They know stuff like this can go down. And so they got to be ready in a moment's, that's a moment, see? In a moment's notice to harness the energy coming off of this monstrous fella. I'm not trying to make fun of this fella. I'm just saying he's very strong and he has the capabilities of being very violent in a moment's notice. Especially you're going to hit him in the face with an egg. So I watched this plenty of times, but these are the kind of things that I'll bookmark. Now, what I wanted to talk about in this video, I know I spent a lot of time with the egg incident, but really what I wanted to talk about, because I mean, there's so many bookmarks that I have, and we could talk about all of them, and they're amazing. All right, but we don't have time like that. Thank you for joining me, whoever you are joining me right now. We have a limited time, obviously, so I'm really only going to discuss with you this one post, and it's from a man who I obviously respect, and I want to get his notifications. I want to be somewhat aware on a daily basis what this man is saying. And his name is Representative Chip Roy from Texas. Represent. And he does a lot of good work, obviously, and that's why I follow him. I got all the notifications on. But what he said right here, and there's a video to go with it. I don't know that we're going to watch the video. Maybe we should, right? Because that's what you're here for. But even before we watch the video, we're not going to watch the whole video. But you can see the gist of what he's saying right here at the top. You can get the gist, and that's the beauty of X.com. You don't have to waste time. Representative Roy said, I would like to just unplug the internet. You can tell by his picture, or I mean, just the fact that he's a representative in the government. That he's an older man, and you might as well assume that he's a boomer. I don't know his age, but I would assume so. He was born in the baby boom. I feel like everybody knows that. All right. He says, I would like to just unplug the internet. Honestly, our lives would be immeasurably better if we just didn't have these damn devices. And I just wanted to point out that rhetoric, you might be someone who's used a similar rhetoric before. I'm not saying I blame you. I'm not saying I blame Representative Chip Roy. And I'm not really saying necessarily that I blame the countless other boomers who've also expressed to me this sentiment. Let's see, do they have the video? It really doesn't matter if they do. Republicans grapple with the content moderation after Charlie Kirk's assassination was shared on social media. So that's kind of sparked his distaste even more so. The distaste already existed, but even more so, there's more distaste now at this point. I don't want him to see that, so tell him to stay off the devices. Or whatever, I think he's talking about his son, whose name is Charlie. I did see the video earlier, or part of it at least, in which he talks about he's got a son named Charlie, coincidentally, and he doesn't want his son to see, and he's talking to his wife. I saw the video, so I know what he's talking about. He communicated to his wife through this device, probably, that he doesn't want his son to see the gruesome video that the whole entire I wouldn't say the world, obviously, but everybody in America, for the most part, has seen that gruesome footage. Maybe not everybody in America, but everybody who's worthwhile has seen it through their devices. So, I mean, and of course, there's the contention afterwards between the so called left and the so called right that has been taking place not only on X.com but everywhere else. So we can go back. So, in regards to this rhetoric, and like I said, I don't blame Chip Roy. I'm still going to have his notices on, and I'm not deeply offended by what he just said. But in regards to what he just said, I don't think anything could ever be so retarded as that, what you just said. I don't know how I could even say something that was more devoid of reality than what you just said right now. I would like to just unplug the internet. I would just like to unplug the internet, is what you just said. Because honestly, our lives would be immeasurably better if we just didn't have the internet. All right. It's one of those things. I'm sorry to tell you, Chip Roy, my man. I'm sorry to tell you, the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. And although it is possible to put a cat back in the bag, I'm sure you'd have a lot of trouble. And that's, why the phrase exists. Infinitely more difficult and just impossible would be to turn off the internet at this point. Pandora's box does not ever close again. The point of no return was long ago. As far as the internet, it's an interesting thing. Oh man, I wish we could just unplug the internet and all this. Because our lives would be better. So, without being a genius or an expert or something like that, I just want to say, if the internet, what you're talking about, if we were to unplug it, of course, I don't know what the hell you mean by we're going to unplug it. But let's say, like, hypothetically, we could unplug it. Or it was like to cease to exist. In the world that you're living in now, quite certainly, if something so massive were to happen as the internet would be just unplugged and nobody would have access to the internet, that would have all sort of implications surrounding it that are even more disastrous than, oh, you cannot get on Twitter. In a world, which is possible that it could happen, but in a world that somehow we no longer have the internet, the amount of people who would certainly die would be damn near all people. All right, in just a short matter of time. So I just think to myself, oh man, if Chip Roy was correct and or something, and the internet were to come and we were to unplug it, you might as well kiss all our asses goodbye. And so would we honestly be living immeasurably better if the internet was gone? Yeah, we'd all be living in heaven or hell. We would all be dead. So this is what I mean when I say it's so damn retarded. It's unthinkably retarded. I cannot even begin to think about it. It's so retarded. And you like said these words inside of some sort of building in which y'all are saying words and you're in the government. Okay? Ridiculous. But oh, our lives would be much better. Without making this too long of a video, there's a lot of people, especially boomers, who think that the world was better. It used to be better. And it was more simpler. And we would all be much more happier if we somehow reversed time, which is something that we've never done. And it's hard to believe that we ever could reverse time. These people, they say, oh, it's so much better back then. We had more morals. The same sort of people would say, oh man, they took God out of the classroom. And before they did that, people and children had much more moral character than they do these days. And so that's where we went wrong. We took God out of the classroom, and if we could only go back and put God back into the classroom, well, solve all our problems. If we only unplug the internet completely, well, damn near utopia on Earth. Never mind, the fact is we all basically die soon. All of us would die soon in some sort of cannibal nightmare apocalypse. All right. So, but what I also want to point out is, whatever happened to Charlie Kirk, and let me just say, everybody who I'm seeing on the internet, not so much in the real world, because it's full of a lot of people who don't know shit. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Everybody who thinks that Tyler Robinson did what he did and he was a lone shooter, you are more retarded than I could ever quantify. More accurately, I would say you're just blind as hell. The way that the Bible speaks of, you are completely blind. And I'm referring to the majority of people in America, actually. Unthinkably blind are you. If you believe that Tyler Robinson did this and he did it by himself, wow. And that's what the FBI wants you to believe, by the way, Kash Patel. The most scary looking man I ever seen in my life. I swear, dude. I've never seen anybody look so scary. And just every single time that I see you, are you really cross-eyed like that? I would never wish Kash Patel's life on anybody. The torturous nature of what his life must be right now. But they want you to believe it's like a single shooter, and most people are blind enough to actually believe it. I don't know what happened. I can. There's some people who say, "Oh, I know exactly what happened. Israel did it, and Netanyahu did it. I know that for a fact." And they're saying that on the internet. You're really quite blind and pretty retarded. Is it a good possibility that it has something to do with it? Yeah, it's very good. But do we know anything really at this point? No, we don't. Are we gonna know something in the future? I wouldn't bet on it. But with all the research that's already been done, stuff like that, through crowdsourcing and all individuals pouring all their effort into it, we know for a fact 2,000 million billion fulfilling percent that it was not one lone shooter named Tyler Robinson. You're insane. And I bring that up to say that, guess what? Ever since governments, Chip Roy, he's in the government. God bless him. He's one of the better ones. Ever since governments existed on Earth, and probably before that, but I'm talking in reference to just people in the government, certain people in the government carrying out chicanery. It's always existed ever since governments existed. Chicanery, tomfoolery, all sort of shenanigans on our asses, causing us our lives ever since it ever began. So that's the thing. It's like, oh no, if we just go back and unplug the internet, all of our lives and all of our problems would be solved. I wish there were words to explain how retarded it is, because retarded is not a big enough word. It would never be enough. It would be a word so long that it would take all of eternity to pronounce in order to accurately describe how retarded it is. What you just said. And as I think I just pointed out, the chicanery, the tomfoolery, and all that sort of stuff has always existed from governments, will always exist, regardless. So, but here's the thing: we had no way. There was no way to know about it. There was no way to actually be as aware of it as we are today without the internet that you're talking about unplugging, which will never happen. So I don't even know why you brought it up. And if it did happen, kiss all of our asses goodbye. No, we're not going to be living in utopia. So there's plenty more that I could say about this subject. I could talk, like I said, eternally about how retarded this is. But I feel like I've made my point. And so thank you for sticking around this long. And I'll holler at y'all pretty soon. Hopefully, we're not in a cannibalistic nightmare, but that is kind of the road we are. That's like our trajectory. That's for sure. All right. So I'll holler at y'all. Hopefully, tomorrow. Hopefully, there is a tomorrow. And I'll holler at y'all later.